everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And we are here with news.
Yeah, I just think Matt Rhule hates us
Yeah.
because
He's not
we
giving us
thought
any time off.
I thought this was going to be the bye week.
Yeah. Yeah. This is we've done just as many podcasts in this bye week as we normally would. So Joe Brady has been fired. Offensive coordinator Joe Brady has been fired as of a few hours ago. We've been calling for it for the last several weeks. Joe Brady was never an impressive offensive mind in the NFL for me. I know he got a lot of kudos for that LSU season with Joe Burrow. But you know what? It turns out Joe Burrow is pretty good on his own.
Yeah, I was watching Cincinnati today. Pretty darn good. And Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Pretty darn good. I think
Joe Burrow elevated Joe Brady and not the other way around. I think that's pretty clear at this point.
Yeah. It's sad. I wanted him to succeed, but you could tell.
Of course.
I mean, the team just never got... I mean, this team has offensive weapons, but I never saw any players get better under him. None. I know it's not just him that's the reason, but you expect some guys to start flourishing. I feel like DJ Moore continued to be DJ Moore, just struggling with bad quarterback play. The offensive line seems to have gotten worse. I mean, Robbie Anderson had one good season, but this year he looks like he's struggling worse than he did in New York.
Yeah, I mean, this the offensive play calling, I mean, the strategies, everything has just been off. I mean, it's, you got two games where you're running it 40 plus times, then every other game you're throwing it more than you're running it. And, Matt Rhule has been very clear about the fact that they want to be a running team, and they just get away from it very quickly in games. Even close games, they get pass happy, and I don't know. It's just, we've been talking about, like, it's a boring offense. It's not fun to watch. They're not winning games, obviously. They're right at the bottom of the league in terms of yards per game, which is, that's a stat that typically you judge an offense by is yards per game. They're fourth from last. They're
28th with 305 yards per game. I mean, the other bottom is Houston, Chicago, Detroit. Somehow Seattle's down there, which I'm not sure.
Yeah, Seattle's having an off year too, but I mean, and they're like 24th in points per game, which,
a lot of that is a lot of the defense layups, short field positions. I mean, just look at the I think it was New England game where they spotted them 6 points. I mean, you had 30 yards and you got a touchdown. They couldn't do that.
Yeah, which is why, the yards per game is definitely a better metric. But even in points per game, they're not scoring 20 points a game. And by the way, last year it was very similar. I mean, even last year we had all of those guys hit 1,000 yards. They were still, I think, 21st in yards 21st per game last year. So they weren't great last year, and they've regressed this year. Yeah. And you can blame some of it on the quarterback, but they made the decision to go away from Teddy Bridgewater and to bring in Sam Darnold, which obviously didn't work out.
No, not at all.
So it's not all on the quarterback. But like you said, offensive line is bad. Offensive coordinator, you're in control of the whole offense, man.
Yeah, and when their offensive line is bad, you know what you shouldn't do? Run the ball only 17 times in a close game. After that 47-run game, they rushed it 17 times. I mean, it's just think.
It's Joe Brady was not ready to be an NFL offensive coordinator.
No.
He had one season as a college offensive coordinator?
Not even that. He was a passing game coordinator
basically. Yeah. So not even in charge of the full offense. He had a little bit of time in New Orleans with the Saints. From what I understand, he's probably not even in line for any of these head coaching jobs in college.
No.
He will probably go back to being an OC somewhere.
Yeah, offensive coordinator probably. I heard some colleges being thrown around, like Nebraska or someone like that.
Yeah, he'll get a job. And maybe he'll come back in a few years and with more experience. But he's so young, and they again, this whole regime, this whole David Tepper regime has been about taking chances, taking big swings,
and failing.
and they
I mean,
haven't. A lot of them have not worked out. This
have
is one that
any?
has not worked out.
Have any?
Oh man, have any?
I mean, that's probably going to
Well,
be
they
an
got the soccer
all-season
team. That's pretty
podcast.
good. They got the soccer team. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
But they had to get rid of the field
and I
put
hate
in artificial turf to do it. So,
and it seems like the injuries are coming up. Christian McCaffrey constantly because of that. But
yeah, I mean, they took a big swing by paying McCaffrey, and that hasn't worked out. They got rid of Cam. That obviously didn't work out since Cam is back. What else? I mean, they had a good that to all defensive draft was a big risk, and that has turned out to be fairly good. We got a lot of good players out of that draft. That might be about it.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think. Did we
get
a lot of good players? Did we get a lot of good players from that?
Yeah, we got Jeremy Chin, who's a great player. We got Derek Brown, who's a great player.
I mean, Derek Brown got benched last week.
Yeah, but Derek Brown's a good player. Like, I'm not too upset about that. Who else?
Etor,
Gross Matos, who's he's a role player. Who else?
I'm really trying to figure out Jeremy Chin. Troy Pride Jr. He was actually looking decent in preseason until Kenny Robinson on and off the practice squad. Bravion Roy. I mean,
Bravion Roy's been for where he was drafted.
6th round pick. I will say that a hit. Also, Stanley Thomas Oliver, 7th round. I'll consider that a hit. If you're still on the team and making the team, making plays. I mean,
he made the team. So not a bust, not a bust of a draft.
No, I mean, all these players are actually on the roster, even if they're on IR. So, you're right. That's a hit.
And that's a year later. So, I think that's a success. Now, this year's draft, we'll have to reassess at another time, but we're not too excited about what we've seen so far out of him. But just getting back to Joe Brady, he's gone. And Jeff Nixon, who is currently an offensive assistant / running backs coach, will be taking over the offensive coordinator duties, although it says that he, along with the rest of the offensive staff, will be, offensive coordinating essentially. So we'll see if he's going to be calling plays. I don't know, but he at least does have some NFL experience. He was, of course, with Matt Rhule at Temple.
Mm-hmm.
He was also with Matt Rhule at Baylor, as a co-offensive coordinator, by the way. But he was with the Philadelphia Eagles for 3 years as an offensive team assistant. And then he was running backs coach with the Dolphins for 4 years. And then he was tight ends coach for the 49ers for a year. So he has 10 years or so of NFL experience, which is I think certainly more than Joe Brady had. And that, I'm okay with that. This is just for the rest of the season. I would not expect him to be the offensive coordinator in next year, unless the offense just completely blows up.
Well, Matt Rhule has mentioned that he wants this team to be a running team. So my assumption is go to the run game, and that's what they're going to do. And let's be honest. I mean, the running backs, even without Christian McCaffrey, has produced decently. I mean, Chuba Hubbard did decent
when given an
year.
Opportunity. Yeah.
I mean, last year, my brain can't. Mike Davis, Rodney Smith. I mean, they produce decently, especially for the talent that those players are. That's NFL caliber players, but they're not Christian McCaffrey.
And few are.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, Jeff Nixon, running backs coach, is now going to be calling the plays. Would expect a lot of run heavy games in the next 5 weeks, which will mean low scoring games more than likely. We're not going to get, we're probably not going to be on the edge of our seat on these offensive, series moving forward the rest of the season. But maybe there will be some semblance of a plan.
Like play action, run the ball, then throw some play action, maybe throw it on first down and then run the ball. I mean, it's just just mixing it up a little bit can be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see if we can notice a change next Sunday, if things look different.
I hope so. Oh, I
If
hope
they
so.
actually score some points would be nice. You know, you
Pick
got
up third downs.
you've got a professional quarterback. Cam's a professional quarterback. Say
Mm-hmm.
what you will about him versus where he was a few years ago. Obviously, we know he's not the same guy, but he can still make plays. He's
Yeah.
still got a strong enough arm to get it down the field. Um, he obviously is a running quarterback, so I would expect to see more than 5 rushing yards from him, like we saw last week, moving forward. So yeah, we'll see.
Now,
Go ahead.
I have to ask this. With this firing, do
Mhm.
you think this is a precursor to start winning some games for Matt Rhule? Or do you think if they lose out, it will have no ifs, ands, or buts about how the offseason plays out for him?
Let me answer your question with a question.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Who made this move? Who made the call to fire Joe Brady? Because I think the answer to that will answer your question.
I don't know who really made it. Honestly, yes, Matt Rhule was probably the ultimate decider, but you never know how that goes down. Whether it was Matt Rhule was talking to David Tepper, and David Tepper was talking about
Mm-hmm.
Rhule, being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
this offense, it's doing nothing. It's not putting butts in the seats. It looks atrocious.
Yeah.
It looks so bad. Something needs to change. If not, I'll need to keep making changes."
Yeah, I, I think that pressure was put on Matt Rhule to make
Mm-hmm.
this move. I think that the fans needed a pelt, essentially, and
Yeah.
we needed a kill, and we were provided a pretty big one, honestly. I'm surprised it happened now. I'm not surprised he was fired. I think we expected either
Yeah.
he or the entire coaching staff to be gone at the end of the season. So I think we probably look at it 2 ways. Like, did they let him go now so he has an opportunity at some of these head coaching positions in college? Maybe they're doing him a solid. They're like, hey, we're going to get rid of him anyway. Let's just go ahead and let him go now. Maybe we see what Jeff Nixon has. It's a good move, right? It's a
Now,
good move.
now, with that said, why did they wait till first quarter of the first round of games today instead of doing it on Tuesday, Monday last week? That's
My
why I
only,
think maybe
yeah.
Tepper may have not forced it, but been like, "Hey,
I think what we're going to hear, what we'll hear Matt Rhule say, is that he spent all week watching tape and going back and looking at games, which I believe he probably did,
oh yeah." I mean,
and came to the conclusion that the offensive play calling and execution on offense has been a major problem, and this was the decision that as a staff they came up with. I think that's probably what we're going to hear. But yeah, I do think it is a little odd that it didn't happen sooner in the bye. No, but I think he just wanted to take his time, and maybe he was pressing Tepper to try to keep Joe. I think Matt's probably a pretty loyal guy when it
it's
comes to his coaching staff.
and players.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
what is there like
So
10, 15 Temple guys on here? I mean, I'm not trying to be
at
mean, but
least
he's a
15,
loyal
20,
guy.
25. Yeah. Yeah, there was a graphic that went around a week ago or so where it showed the college teams that each NFL team had the most of on their roster.
And ours was
And
Temple.
there was only one team that had Temple as the most. And there was only one team that had more than, I think, 12% of their roster was from one college. And it was the Panthers, and it was Temple.
Yeah,
It was
Temple's
like
not
13
the
or 14% of our roster is Temple.
Hassan Reddick, great pick, great
Hassan,
pickup.
yeah.
Robbie Anderson, I get, but then you start going down the list, and it's like, why is this guy? not really competing with somebody at the bottom of the
Sean
roster.
Chandler, hasn't been great. There's quite a few, but Keith Kirkwood. We wonder why he keeps hanging around the roster.
Yeah,
he's Temple. Yeah. So it's Matt Rhule, very loyal guy. So I would expect that Tepper definitely had a hand in this for sure.
I do too.
Probably a big hand. And it was the right move. I mean, let's talk about it. Like, you're not upset at this move. I'm not upset at this move. I can imagine many Panthers fans are upset.
No, I responded, but my nephew was the one who broke it to me. He was like, "Oh, thank God." I was like, "Finally."
Yeah.
I mean, I hate for a guy to lose his job. No one likes that. But that being said, the organization, the offense hasn't been doing anything this year. It needed to start moving. So,
I mean, we're Panthers fans. We're not fans of.
Yeah.
I mean, we are fans of particular coaches. We're fans of particular players, but above all, I'm a Panthers fan. I'm going to root for the Panthers. And, if you're not getting it done for the Panthers, then I'm sorry. Like, it's time for you to go. And he was not getting it done. So what do you expect from the offense the rest of the season? You expect any changes, more of the same?
I think we're going to get a lot more different, like a lot more run initial scheme. I mean, besides Cam Newton being here and being on the offense for a long time, or for more than a week, I think we're going to kind of see more of a run team, read option, more depending on the score. I could see them having a 20 to 25 passing attempts would be their ultimate goal.
Yeah, he's said 30. He wants 33 rushing attempts a game.
Yeah,
minimum. So that'd be about right. If you're looking between 55, 60 plays total.
And if our defense, stops the other opposing teams, as long as they don't run up the middle on us, I mean, they could do that. I mean, there's the games we lost, they went away from the run game, even though it was 1-score, 2-score games in the second and third quarter. I mean, maybe we'll see some scores in the third quarter. I don't know. I'm crazy.
That'd be don't get too crazy.
Well, I mean, that's another issue though, is we never seem to have a second half adjustment on offense that worked. Yeah. Or any really from my eyes, but
so do you think this is a precursor to Matt Rhule being fired? Do you think this is Tepper saying to the fan base, hey, we got rid of the OC, we're going to bring in somebody else, in the off season, I think we'll see what happens.
I think that Rhule's job is in jeopardy. I think he needs to put stuff on tape this last 5 games to show that he belongs here, that he is building something, that it was just the offensive coordinator that he struck out on. They can get that fixed. Now, if they don't lose another game, especially with, Atlanta and New Orleans on the docket, Atlanta does not look that good, by the way. No, but
they don't.
I could easily see them letting him go. I could see Tepper taking a bite out of his checkbook, go ahead, sign that massive severance package, because he's losing more money by keeping a bad coach than he is signing that money away and trying to get somebody to build something. Because, I mean, they have a package out right now, 3 games for $100 or 2 games for $130 now. I mean, they're just trying to give away tickets because no one wants to go. The product has been that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I would not pay to go to a Panthers game right now. Now, that being said, I am going to the Panthers game next Sunday, but I did not pay for the tickets. But
segue.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, part of me is not looking forward to it because I don't want to go and be disappointed the whole time.
Especially losing to Atlanta. I mean, that would be rough.
Yeah, I mean, we've already beat Atlanta once this season, so always kind of hard to beat the team the second time around if you won the first time. So obviously, the Panthers are 1 game out of the playoffs. We're 1 game out of 6th place and 7th place. A lot of teams lost today. The 49ers lost, the Vikings lost, Atlanta lost. All these teams that were ahead of us lost. Washington won, unfortunately. So
Minnesota lost. That's another big
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So we're still right in it. I mean, a win next week, we could easily be right back up in that 6th or 7th spot.
Oh,
2 or 3 more wins, and you never know. Like, it's certainly not impossible. We're still right in the middle of it. So I think, not only was this a move potentially to save Matt Rhule's job next season, but if it kind of kicks the offense into gear,
yeah,
could save this season. It really could.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that might be why maybe that was why the move was made now, to try and save the season.
Yeah,
it certainly can't hurt.
It's sad. The playoff rankings, we rose up 2 spots by not playing this week. We're now ahead of Atlanta and New Orleans.
Yeah.
And we're now tied with the Vikings. Oh man, that is sad that we are.
It's a successful bye week.
Yeah. Getting rid of Joe Brady.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough because, Washington and Minnesota are ahead of us in the standings. And, those are 2 teams that we lost to this season.
Oh, yeah.
2 teams we should have beaten, 2 teams we lost to. And had we beaten those teams, we wouldn't even be worrying about this because we'd be 2 games ahead of both those guys. So this season was just kind of right here for the taking.
Yeah, to sneak into the playoffs. Maybe not get into the first round bye or
sure. I don't think any of us
win the division, but you could have snuck into the 6th or 7th seed and
easily.
I mean, it's right there for a taking. Realistically, it's just, 6 wins is 6-6. Washington's on the 6th seed. Yeah.
8 or 9 wins is going to get you into the playoffs in the NFC.
Yeah. I think Washington will get it because they do seem to be playing well, and Ron Rivera always seems to play well towards the end of the season anyway. So
I'd like to see, the Panthers, I think at a minimum, they're going to have to go 3-2 to get to 8 wins. 4-1 would get them to 9 wins. 5-0 obviously gets them to 10. So where do you see the Panthers finishing this season? Given, new offensive coordinator, the schedule we've got coming up. 5-7 right now.
They're going to beat Atlanta and New Orleans. We're going to be outside the playoffs, but we're going to be picking like 13. We will go 7-10.
Well, 7-10. 7-10.
Bad math.
Bad math, yeah.
That's how I see it. I see that we're going to be like the 8th or 9th team in the division or in the conference. We don't make the playoffs. But
I don't think I can disagree with you. I don't see...
We're going to beat Atlanta and New Orleans, so they picked before us, so we have no chance at it. Pickett looked good in Pittsburgh. I watched part of that game, and I was like, ooh, he does look good.
Now, it's very possible that the Bucs game at the very end of the season will have no meaning for the Bucs. It's possible that the first, the Cardinals will have the bye locked up, or the Packers. So it could just be, honestly, their seed could be locked in at that point. They could be the 3 seed and with nowhere to go. So they could sit everyone. They won't have a bye, and they've got old players on that team.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have like Tom Brady, Gronk.
Yeah, Brady,
they have
Gronk. A lot of their defensive players are older. So it's quite possible that we just see the second string and the Panthers. I don't know that if the Panthers are like winning, they're in. If the Bucs do that, but they could. So there could be 3 wins. That's the only scenario I see 3 wins. Because you beat the Bucs once.
Or we could do the old New Orleans Saints thing, and we're already out of the playoffs, and they sit everybody, and we win the game.
Yeah.
And we lose like 5 draft spots.
5 draft spots, yeah.
It's to build team.
It's for the culture, yeah.
Yeah.
For the winning culture.
Yeah, it didn't seem like Sean Payton cared about that culture on his team going to the playoff, did he?
Right, yep.
All
right. Well, good job, Panthers. We're, good move.
Yeah, it was needed. It really was needed. maybe it'll light a fire under the rest of the coaching staff, the rest of the offensive players, try to maneuver, the rest of the season, because you're right, they're only one game away. If you could steal a game for the Bucks, you can beat Atlanta and New Orleans. I mean, Buffalo, yeah.
Buffalo's not, the juggernaut that we thought they might be, though they do still have that in them. They could easily put up 40 on any team. We've seen it this season. But, that's not a team that's unbeatable. Do I see the Panthers going 5-0? Maybe. No, I don't. But I can see them going 3-2, and I could see that final 7th seed.
I could see 3
coming down to a tiebreaker or something, and
we lose to Minnesota for losing in overtime. Yeah,
depending on who's there, the Panthers could get it or not. So, yeah. But anyway, I think that's going to do it.
Yep. We want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. If you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. I swear next time we will. Please like and subscribe on YouTube.
All right, everybody. We'll be back. I don't know. We were going to come back like middle of the week, but now after doing this one, we may just wait until the preview. So at the latest, we'll be back on Friday. But until then, everyone stay safe out there and keep pounding.